Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at our Access TonnoSport soft roll-up tonneau cover right here on our 2022 Ram 3500. Our truck here has an 8-foot long bed, so we need a long tonneau cover. So this is gonna be your economy option for when you just want to protect your truck bed, make sure it's nice and clean, even if it's out in the elements, in the sun, in the rain, in the snow. So this is a soft roll-up cover. So as you can see here, if you need access to your fifth wheel hitch, which is what we have in our truck bed today, you can just roll this up and secure it with the buckles included. So this is what it looks like rolled up. We have this buckle here that can be adjusted to be tighter or looser depending on how tightly you roll up your tonneau cover the first time. So you can see it doesn't really take up much space here. Our rear windows of our cab are completely visible, so we're not covering that visibility. And this also sits low profile to our truck bed. Let's take some measurements. With this loosely folded up, measuring from our truck bed rails to the top of the tonneau cover, it sits at 4.5 inches. Frame of reference, it doesn't go above where that sliding window is, so definitely visibility there. So on the side, we have these aluminum rails as well as 3 clamps on each side, tightening it down to our truck bed. So the rails have a hook and loop strip that matches with the hook and loop strips on our tonneau cover, creating a nice seam on the edge, allowing rain and water to fall off. Now when you're not using your hitch, you're not using your truck bed and you want to cover it, you just undo those buckles and start unrolling your tonneau cover. So the downside to having an 8-foot long bed is that you now have an 8-foot long tonneau cover that you have to unroll. So it is going to take some time, especially if you want to make sure everything is nice and secure and tensioned properly. So this has integrated tensioners which allow you to adjust the fit. So if you find it's too loose or too tight, there's a dial there on each side that you can adjust for. It does take some time though and some practice just to get the best fit for you. Supporting the tonneau cover are not only these side rails, but also these support beams. So they're not rollers, they just make it easier for you to roll it up, and then they sit in place on the beams themselves, making sure that your tonneau cover itself stays up. And then at the very edge, you have 2 strike plates and 1 latch. So that strike plate works like this. You get lined up, and then it secures. And then if you do this right and install it properly, you're even able to close the tailgate on it, just like this. No damage at all. Now, if you do want to access your truck bed and open up the tonneau cover, you are going to have to lower your tailgate because the latch is on the inside. So this is going to be a pull latch on the driver's side. You just pull it, it pops the tonneau cover up, and you then can roll it back up. Most of this tonneau cover is made of aluminum. That's what allows it to stay lightweight and helps prevent rust and corrosion, although your more premium tonneau covers have it where the support beams are painted. It's low profile, only sitting 1/2 inch above your truck bed, compatible with your under bed liners as well as your other accessories inside. And this is made of a UV resistant vinyl, so that keeps its shape throughout time and helps push that water off and off your truck bed. The install process is relatively easy, although there is a bit more assembly because you have an 8-foot long tonneau cover. So let me guide you through that. So I already installed one of the side rails and we'll install the second one together. These are the tools I added. So we're gonna have a torque wrench. You don't really need this since you only need 20 Newton meters of torque, but that helps you not over tighten. You're also gonna need 2 1/2-inch wrenches. Then you're gonna need some tape measure, some scissors, as well as an Allen wrench for later on in the install. So since our Ram 3500 today has an 8-foot long bed, we have some pretty long side rails. So we are first going to assemble the side rails together. So notice how we have the strip over here. This is what our tonneau cover is going to attach to. We want to connect this strip throughout both side rail pieces. So see this black piece? That's gonna go in the middle of both of your side rail pieces. And just to help line things up, I start by threading this through our rail on top. Just make sure it slides in right and it's aligned with your grooves on each end. And then once this is lined up, that should help line you up over here with this hole. So we're gonna attach these two pieces together. So this plate underneath helps line up that hole as you pop in a bolt as well as a flat washer. Then you use this square nut underneath to secure them. Use a 1/2 inch wrench to tighten it down. With both pieces now secure, you now have a long side rail. So we're gonna put this onto our bed. You can use spring clamps if you're on your own to secure it while you clamp it on. I'm gonna have some friends help me out. So I have Brad here, he's gonna help me hold up this side rail. So you just wanna make sure it hits the end of your bed where that cab is. And while he holds it up, I'm gonna use some clamps to secure it. So make sure to have your clamps facing the right way. You want the deeper portion at the back on top, and then you want the narrow portion on the bottom. Whatever makes sense for making this more even with your side rails and your truck bed. So we're installing the front, the middle, and the rear clamp. And since this is aluminum, you want to make sure you get the right torque there. So just hand tighten it down. No need to use any drills. In fact, I have a torque wrench set to 20 Newton meters just to make sure I don't over tighten this. So just make sure all 6 clamps are torqued down, 3 on each side, and we'll move on to our next step. Now that everything's clamped down, let's start by setting our pre-rolled cover onto our bed. So you need to have your tensioners on your cover before you unroll it. So you're gonna have a left and a right. It's gonna have L or R. The L is gonna go on our driver's side. You're also gonna have a 1.25 inch long bolt with a split washer. That's gonna drop right on top of there and then align with the nut underneath. So attach both tensioners, but make sure that they're just loosely attached, barely holding on to that nut. Now we're gonna unroll our cover. So we have these buckles, just take those buckles out, and then we're gonna flip this top bar over so that it is now facing down. So this may seem tricky at first, but you just need to make sure that the bar is facing down, and then you're gonna bring the tensioner up and underneath the side rail, and then line up that hole and secure it with this bolt and then a nut underneath. Make sure that as you are doing this, everything gets lined up and don't adjust the tensioner. You are gonna tighten it down though with 2 wrenches on the top and the bottom. So make sure both sides are tightened down. So you want to make sure that your front bar is centered on your vehicle, and to do so you can measure the space between the side rail and the front bar on around 3,500. It's just a really tiny space on both sides, but make sure it's the same. Make sure that that vinyl flap is tucked underneath your front bar. So that goes under there, and make sure it's the same all throughout. Remember those 2 bolts we left loose earlier on the tensioner? Well, now it's time to tighten them down. With everything now secure, you're now finally ready to unroll your cover. So try to make sure that it stays secured on each side, and this may take some time and adjustment, but I'll guide you through that process. And when you get to the end, you're gonna see if it strikes right into the strike plate, and it actually does. With it striking on both sides the first time we tighten it down, let's put it to the test by closing the tailgate on it. That looks good. So I'm very surprised it all secured nicely the first try and I didn't have to adjust anything. Now what might happen is your cover might be too tight or too loose, it doesn't strike, the tailgate hits it. What you then do is just you undo the latch and adjust the tensioners up front. Make sure you do both tensioners the equal amounts and then try it again until you get the best fit for you. For those with an electric lift gate assist, it does recommend that you leave this for about 24 hours before checking the tension, just because time does adjust the tension of your tonneau cover. Also, double check that all your clamps are torqued down to 20 Newton meters of torque, and that way everything is nice and secure. But once you've checked those things, once you found the tension you like, that's it for the install process. So my personal thoughts about the Access TonnoSport, especially here on our Ram 3500, is since we have an 8-foot long bed, it does take more time, it does take more effort, especially to roll it up, put it back down, things like that. So definitely something worth keeping in mind when you're managing your schedule. Now this is a great entry though into the tonneau covers. It's an easy way to get your truck bed covered up. Now if you want more premium features like locks, being able to access it even with the tailgate up, things like that, you may want to check out our other Access tonneau covers, fit guided for your Ram 3500. Definitely check out our product pages here at eTrailer for those. And that was a look right here at our Access TonnoSport soft roll-up tonneau cover on our 2022 Ram 3500. My name is Evangeline and I hope you enjoyed the journey.